Ladies European Tour is once again in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. King Abdullah Economic City hosting the LET's finest, teeing it up once more at the country's premier course, Royal Greens Golf and Country Club, this time for part 4 of 4 in the Aramco Team Series.
Soph, thank you so much for coming out with us and sharing what you do.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because this is very different. We're going behind the scenes with you today, which is exciting because I've always wanted to see what goes on behind the scenes, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that want to see what goes on. But first things first, let's walk as we talk. Yep. First things first, obviously, you were a player. So is that kind of finished now? Is that sort of, have you come to the decision that actually the commentary side of things is kind of the avenue you want to go?
Yeah, I try to do both.
Yeah.
It's too hard.
Yeah.
You need to commit quite a lot of time to actually playing and practicing.
Yeah.
It came to the end of 2018, so at the beginning of 2018 I thought, I think this will be it, and I started to put things in place to pick up on a new career, I suppose. So yeah, finished at the end of 2018, don't play on tour anymore. Do play with my mates, play the odd Pro-Am.
Yeah.
That first year I played quite a lot of Pro-Ams because I still had it, if you know what I mean, but then, to be quite honest, it's gone.
And where did it come about?
So
where did it come about? How did you get into going down the commentary run? I know obviously we played together on YouTube.
Yeah.
And was that kind of like the start of it? Is that something that opened your eyes up to something slightly different with your career?
Yeah, I think so. As a kid, I didn't mind doing speeches. When I won, I was quite comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Did some YouTube stuff. I think I was one of the first really to go on the YouTube channels, the likes of Mark's Crossfield, and did a bit of Your Golf Travel. And then just one day I was playing golf with a guy that worked for the golf show. It was an American golf sponsored show, and I just pitched an idea and said, right, me and 2 girls, we're going to come and do your golf show. And it was out of nowhere. I hadn't even asked them, and he said, yeah, let's do it. And it started there. So I did the golf show live, and they asked me to go on Sky Sports to advertise the golf show. So I sat and watched the women's major in a chair and taught golf. And I just really enjoyed it. Didn't feel too nervous. I'm a huge golf geek. I watch loads anyway. Feel like I've got a pretty decent understanding of the golf swing and what players are feeling. And I just thought from then that's kind of what I want to do. So I kept asking when I was at events if I could possibly go in the booth just for like 10 minutes here and there. Yeah. Did that and then asked again. Just kept asking.
And it must have been tough because ultimately your life has been around travel and spending time with all your friends who are on tour, and that is life, isn't it? You know, tour life is you make them. They can't kind of become part of your family, don't they? A lot of your friends on tour. Is that difficult to walk away from that, or do you still feel like you're part of it in some way?
Yeah, I'm still part of it in a way. I've got really good friends off the golf course. Yeah. I've got a life off the golf course, which I think is always important. And I'm still in and around. I think COVID times has really helped in the fact that I couldn't mix with them because we were in different bubbles. Yeah. So it was a great start of just to say, you used to hang around with them all the time, you used to share a room, go to dinner, and now you just can't. Yeah. So that was almost good for me to rip off the Band-Aid and say I am totally separate. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult sometimes to commentate on your friends because you've got to be honest, and quite a lot of the times I might say she'll be disappointed with that, or I'll try and back it up with a stat. If they're not doing very well on the greens or bunker play, I can say, well, this stat proves that. But yeah, it's nothing better actually when someone you know wins.
Yeah, I bet.
I really start feeling it. I think the first time I did it was with Amy Bolden in Switzerland, and I was just so happy for her. And it does come across in the commentary how excited you are. But equally, just watching good golf, really.
So what I want to get from this video today is I want to do a little bit behind the scenes. I want to see what you get up to, obviously, day before tournament, and then we're going to come back on tournament day and just kind of go through your kind of routine, let's say, for when you arrive at the golf course.
Okay, let's go.
So first day on the course.
Yep.
What have you been up to today then? How does it start?
I turn up at the course and drive round and just see what I would do from my playing perspective, chat to a few of the players also. and do a few Ken Brown impressions
Oh,
also.
yeah.
We don't have an on-course commentator much in the women's game. It's normally only at the majors, so I have to call a lot of putts from watching it on television. So this is why I spend a lot of my days kind of rolling putts and just seeing how they break from there. This was actually good for the Lydia Coe putt. She was up there for eagle, and I said, you know, this breaks quite a lot from that shoulder. It's tough to read, and obviously she holed it. And then with my yardage books, I just kind of write them in. So I don't know if you can. I'll show you the 9th. You can see there how there's a few arrows, and basically this hole all kind of curves into the water.
Yeah.
And just put stuff in from last year. Luckily we came here last year.
Yeah.
And then I take my phone around now and write my notes in my phone, because I used to write them all down on paper and I ended up like throwing them away every week, whereas now I write notes on my phone from what players tell me, which I'm going to go find out in a minute, and I just keep it updated on my laptop all the time. So actually there becomes less work to do, because you're only just updating per week rather than starting again, which I learned that from last year.
And then earlier today I saw you out on the golf course doing a bit of filming.
Yeah.
Out there with Emily Pedersen.
Yeah.
So what were you actually doing? I mean, obviously it's important for you to get understanding of the golf course, but you're obviously doing something important there. We are.
We added this feature, I think it's called Sophie's Way to Play, or Play Sophie's Way. Once again, because we don't have that on-course commentator, we film maybe 5 pieces at the beginning of the week where I'm explaining the significant holes on this golf course, in particular this one. So we took Emily Pedersen to the 18th hole and we asked her. She hit the most wonderful hybrid shot in there last year, and it's how do you play it? What do you feel over the golf shot? Trying to tell the viewer something that they can't see on the television, the thoughts, the wind, the feelings. This is the first time we've done it with players this week, and let's hope we can do it more often. It's normally just me because of time. Some players don't have time to do it, but hopefully they'll do it more. And it's just telling the viewer something else. Like, this is me over the shot and this is what they face. What sometimes you can't see, we've got towers at the back of the green, so the angles become different.
Right, how close can you actually get it then?
Okay.
Like a game of bowls here. Down the slope, off the left, you're reading it left. Not bad at all for pace. That's 2 pretty impressive rolls there.
Green
Very
bowling.
good. You could probably sell that come the final day.
But it's also just good for me to be aware of how close the water is, how close that bunker is. So I might stand, I don't normally go in the bunkers, but I'll stand kind of in and around it and think, oh, what would the player face here?
Yeah.
See that's quite downhill.
Yeah.
You know, TV's 2D, isn't it? So
I
need to get out and get the feel of it. And even if you, like here, it's a downhill bunker, so it's going to come out lower, and they're probably not going to be able to stop it. So I'll say, long and left for this type of flag, you don't really want to be there. You want to be short left if that's the miss.
Well, look at this for hospitality.
It's very good at the Aramco Team Series. They go all out. I think they've even got a simulator. It's not set up at the minute, but they've got a simulator for people to have a go at. Bar, food.
There's a simulator over
there you go. Yeah.
And who's going to be using this? I mean, who's coming in here? Are you allowed to come in here?
No,
as commentators?
this is like guests of Aramco. So it'll probably be pro-am people. It's hospitality. Like when you go to the football, you pay a bit more and you get hospo.
And the view. Show us
nice.
the view. Ta-da! Yeah, that is a view.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also it works really well because the sun's behind, so they've thought this through, haven't they? So you can sit in the shade.
Yeah, lovely.
And watch the players come down 18.
And this hole, I mean, it must be the 18th hole here. Must be one of the. Well, I look at it and think it must be one of the toughest holes on tour. You know, especially if it's nip and tuck coming down the last few holes, you know?
It is. What I like about it is because it's downwind, it like asks you a question. So if you hit a really good tee shot, you can go for this. But if you look, there's so much trouble, obviously water down the left-hand side. And then what a player might do is go, oh, and leak one down the right. But I've seen players drop it near hospitality and in the sand. It's not a great shot from there either.
No, green's running away from you, all running towards the water. Probably grain taking it down there as well, so not an easy shot.
No, it's the one that I really like watching, but I wouldn't want to play it. Oh, the aircon's amazing in here.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so these are all the pictures that come in. Obviously we're not live at the moment. And our producer and director work in here, and they decide, well, the director sends people where he wants them to go, the producer sees the story, and then he decides what he needs to put up for me and Richard to commentate on.
You don't necessarily get involved with, like, you don't want to, can you choose a screen of what you want to talk about, or are you...
we don't sit in here. This is where the producer sits. Yeah. We sit somewhere else.
Yeah.
So sometimes we might just message in and say, so and so's just made an eagle or whatever hole, did you catch it? But most of the time, I mean, we leave it to them, they're the professionals.
Yeah.
What will happen is Rob, the producer, might say, we've got a really good shot on the 16th hole, watch this, and he'll play it in, so we at least know what might be coming. But we do commentate as live, other than the odd little bit that they throw in.
And how many screens, what have we got here? 3, 6...
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of screens, isn't there? And then you've even got this screen down the bottom here.
Yeah. The concentration levels of these
Must
guys
be unbelievable.
are up there. They come out of the truck and they're like, whoa.
And there's a team that's sit behind as well, because there's more screens back here.
We've got sound team, we've got graphics, because obviously they've got to put at the bottom of the screen a leaderboard, or I don't know, Emily Pedersen, this is a birdie putt on the 3rd hole, so the graphics need to go up as well. So you're thinking how quick this is all coming through. There's a couple of seconds delay on the live coverage because they need to put the graphics up. But yeah, I stay out of here. This is full on.
This is, the mind is racing in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this is basically every hole covered.
Yeah, so there's TV towers, I think, at the back of every green, so that's what we're seeing now. And then we have cameramen that walk around as well. So most weeks we have TV groups. I don't want to say the draw is fixed, but it's kind of fixed, because they want to show the big names that are playing this week. So the likes of Charlie Hall, Emily Pedersen, Georgia Hall, they'll all be in the primetime spots. And then obviously it's whoever plays the best from there on out for the next few days.
So this is it. This is your box.
I know, it's classy, isn't it?
This is lovely. Like, literally you are in a container.
Yes, aircon.
Aircon unit right above you.
Yeah, so this is where Richard sits.
Okay.
In here. We have the kettle.
Oh, well.
He loves a cup of tea. So
do you have to bring your own tea? Tea bags?
Yeah, and milk. But Richard loves to make me a cup of tea, which is nice. So I sit here.
Okay.
So every day we change these around a bit, but it's just notes that we can see. So we've got course set up here. So if I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, right, the 11th hole, I can just zoom across and it's playing at 135 yards.
Yeah.
There's your pin positions. Little stuff about the type of course, the grass, prize money, local rules. We've got the team captains list down here.
Yeah.
These are my notes of world ranking, and then I have a laptop and an iPad and my yardage books. So yeah, and then we kind of just talk to each other, mostly flip-flop between shots, like you take one, I take the other, but we've worked together for nearly 2 years now. So.
And these yardage books you've got there, they're yours, are they? Because they look like they've
been worn.
They've been used.
This is last year's.
In tournament.
No.
They're not tournament books.
No. So this is last year's book.
Yeah.
And then I just transferred a lot of the notes over.
Yeah.
To this year's. So I reckon I reckon I've got the best book out of the players, in fairness.
You have there is a lot of notes in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players that probably spend a bit of money on buying that book off you.
Yeah, possibly. Look, 15th hole, the green is quick as it's exposed to the water. So there you go. Actually, it won't go live, but if they did know that.
And your little screen there, so that's what you've got, and that where we've just been, which is they will pop up a screen to you, and you have to then commentate on that screen. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we only see the live feed, so we don't see anything else. They see all the pictures, and we just see what they're going on television. So you're seeing what I'm seeing
on TV at home.
Yeah. Everything
pretty
that you
much.
See. No, not pretty much everything that you see. Yeah. So this is our on-air button for a minute, and then if you want to talk to the producer, you press in there, and that's when you're not on air.
Yeah.
So you can say, Rob, oh, is this a birdie putt or a
Yeah,
par
so you
putt,
can, like,
just in
pick it
case.
up, yeah.
If we've not seen something.
Yeah.
And then they can speak to you. So if we're going into an interview, they can say, right, we've got an interview with Charlie Hull coming up, and I'll count you in, and they kind of say 10, 9, and then we'll bring in Charlie.
And what's happening in your earpiece there? So you get your headphones on?
Yeah, that's what they're saying to me. So I'm
they're
listening to
chatting
Richard.
To you.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good. They don't bombard us with too much information because, I mean, the amount of times that somebody will say, we're going to an interview with Annabelle Dimmock after this shot, and then you're like, Dimmock is on that. Oh God, it's not Dimmock. Bronte Law is, because you listen to what people are saying, so they're very good at timing when they do say something to you. Because if somebody's chatting in your ear, it's really easy to just say it out loud, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, lovely.
It's
what a little
isn't
spot
it?
you have here.
I know. Glamorous.
Good morning everybody, day 1 of the Aramco Team Series. I've just left Lee over on the range because he's going to do some caddying this week now. We've done most of the filming that we need to do, so I've left him over there with Flick Johnson, and there will be a video coming out of that, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that one. So let's go and find Soph and see what we're up to on the first day.
Hello, your carriage awaits.
Good morning, Soph.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very good, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad.
Good night's sleep?
Good night's sleep. Went to the gym.
Wow, did you?
Yeah, I don't do any steps anymore, I just sit on my arse. So yeah, thought I'd better go to the gym.
Right, shall we go?
Shall we?
So what have we been up to this morning then? Briefings?
Yeah, we did the briefings at, what are we on, 11:30 now, so we did a little bit of what, you know, where the cameras are going to be, what groups are going to be following, etc. We got sent the pin positions, so I put them in here. Okay. And there's quite a lot of information for this week, so we even need to know about the amateurs, what handicap they are, when they receive shots. So there's 2 comps going on in one. So it's like, it's really vamped up for you, isn't it, in a way? Yeah, it's 2 tournaments in one, which makes it interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be switched on.
A lot of information. Right, what are we doing? We're just arrived at the range.
Yeah, grabbing Carl, which is Gabs' dad, to get her yardages. Okay. She's playing with Charlie Hull, and that is the TV group. Can I get some of Gabs' yardages? So I know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So what's the bag makeup?
Driver.
Yeah.
Freewood.
Yeah.
Free iron. Through to wedge.
Yeah. What shot shape?
Or she's hitting all fades.
Fades
yeah,
today?
she's playing fades.
Fades.
She's switched from the drive. She was drawing the driver, but she's gone back to her fade.
Everything's fading.
Everything's fading, yeah. But yeah, maybe fade straight, really.
7 iron, how far does that go ish? In the air?
Here, about 160. Yeah.
160. So when you say here, is it because it's going a bit further?
Yeah, so we've got 5 yards more.
5 yards.
Yeah.
And does she chip with any particular club? Or
She uses the 58.
58.
Which is a bit annoying.
We need to keep the flag down on this, don't we?
Yeah, she uses 58 and just adjusts the loft accordingly.
Yeah, so she's only got 2 woods.
Yeah, she's driving through it, and then she goes into like a driving iron. She's got like gapper thing, isn't she?
Yeah, okay, cool. Happy with your pick, mate?
Absolutely.
That's the one, isn't it? Charlie Hull fancies you playing 3 days with you? Yeah, alright then. Have a good one. So I come out for a watch, so we're doing afternoon tee times. So I come out in the morning wave. Can't roll balls today because obviously there's people on the golf course. But I just kind of check where the flags are. The 13th is quite a difficult one for me to get my head around. So I always come out to this one and see where it is. So I got it in here. Which actually it's probably a little bit more across.
Yeah.
So maybe scribble that out and put that in more there. And it's just great that if Charlie Hull's got this put later, I've already seen it.
You get a good idea so you can explain it a little bit easier. Yeah. Absolutely. It's just doing your homework, isn't it? Getting it right. So
yeah. I mean, if you don't know a putt, you don't call it. No. It's just not worth it. So you see this caddy here, see he's pacing at the back of the green. He's found the dot for tomorrow, so there'll be a little dot like 24 hours in front. So he's seeing where that is for tomorrow, so he can kind of be ahead of the game. Sometimes they point it out to the players, other times they don't.
And how much do these caddies get involved with their putting? Do they get involved a lot? Some do, some don't?
Some do, some don't. I mean, if you watch Dustin Johnson and his brother, they're very much together. It's preference. I would say a lot less on the greens compared to full shots. So just really seeing what the slope is, because you never does it justice on television. No. So like if the girls have got this putt here, it's going to be quite slow. It's into the grain, it's uphill, a little bit into the wind in the afternoon, but equally it's quite a nice leave, whereas up there might not be. But I would say most players are going to try and pitch it up here and maybe try and bring it back. So Charlie Hull, for instance, who is a bit of a spinner of the golf ball, she'll be doing that. But yeah, players will be looking at where the miss is. I think this is quite a friendly flag. Yeah, so this is going to be one that they're going to go for. So I'll write that. I'll kind of put a tick next to it and be like, this is a green flag. I think they'll have a go at this one. So I mean, I'm just looking around here and I'm seeing kind of run off at the front, run off at the side. So obviously they're not going to be coming in with a great deal of but like the miss, a nice little miss is right, because it's going to start coming down. So kind of up there and bringing down there. Here you've got that left to righter. It's just getting the idea of where they want to be, and hopefully if they get it in the right spot. I mean, you'd be stupid to fly that too long. That's going to be an awful put down the hill. I mean, this is on this green in particular. This is the friendliest part, isn't it? You get up and around there. I mean, look at all the mounds and really rolls over there. And actually, as you start hitting more across the green, when you get to a back flag, here you're just hitting up the green, which is, as a player, that's what you like. When you come up here, these bunkers really come into play, and it gets quite narrow because you actually got to hit over that bunker on the right. So yeah, front left flag on 14. And this going long, I mean, that's like, you just can't. Well, equally, where if you went here, you wouldn't go long at that flag. No player's going long at that flag ever. But this flag, you see, there's a little red dot here. That would bring that bunker into play. Big time, yeah. So -17 is leading the way so far. I mean, they've gone out early this morning and got it to 17 under. I mean, that's pretty tidy, isn't it? It is, 2 out of 4 to count. We've got an amateur this week. I think the players are getting the hang of this. I think the amateurs are getting a bit more relaxed in the scenario. There's definitely better amateurs as well, which helps. But the players are thinking less about their own game. And a lot of them are going, right, I'm not too fussed what I score, but you are. I'm going to try and make 5 birdies. And they're changing their mindset to be in a positive mindset of, I want to make 5 birdies and the rest will take care of itself. There's no good me shooting level par with 18 pars. If I'm going to shoot level par, I might have 5 birdies and 5 bogeys. So you'll see a bit more positivity. Plus they've moved some of the tees forward for the AMs, and so us on TV are going to see some good golf. Scores are always a bit better in the morning. What are you seeing? Is that right? Because the wind's down. Yeah, wind's down. So and what are you thinking you're going to see by the end of this 3 days of golf here? Yeah, obviously, if the weather stays as it is now. Yeah, it's normally 30? Around. No, it's normally. Well, you have to be in the 30s to have a chance. Yeah. But it's normally more 40, getting closer to 40. Is it really? Now. So they're keeping that standard of play of 17 under. They're keeping that up. Yeah, and actually you start seeing captains that do well. So Olivia Cowan is, well, just been dropped down one. Yeah. She's won this event in a team format in London. Okay. Marianne Scarpnor is a pretty good team captain. So you start seeing the players that actually really enjoy team golf, that they do better. So I don't know, sometimes obviously ability, they're all really good golfers, but the type of person that quite enjoys team golf compared to the individual one as well. When the teams came out, my co-com Richard, he picked Georgia Hall's team as a good team. So they've just picked up another one there. They've gone up to, they're at 15, or they've dropped one, haven't they? So okay, so they're finished. It's entertaining. yeah, just listened in actually. Alison Muirhead's brilliant. She talked us
Chirping
through
away,
it.
yeah.
So longer hitters, 8 iron, 7 iron for the kind of middle of the road hitters, and how cautious they are of that flag on the yardage book. It's really close to that bunker, so anything past pin high and right, it goes in the bunker. But it's nice to hear the conversations, because the team element, we think they're all going to go for it more, but still on that first day, because there's an individual side to this, they're in that in-between zone. On the final day, if you're well out of the individual, you're taking that flag on. Alison is going to hit 7 iron.
And I suppose from your point of view, when you hear one player, you can kind of gauge from that one player what everybody else is going to roughly hit.
Yeah,
is that right?
Absolutely. So I've got most of the players' yardages these days.
Yeah.
Alison is a longer hitter.
Yeah.
Linda and Liz are average, and I don't. That's average tour
Average
pro.
yardage.
Yeah, average tour pro. So they said like 166 flag, but most players are playing 160 land because they just can't afford to mess with it.
No, you don't want to be firing it on landing on that pin, do you?
No, not at all.
Back of the 18th then.
Yeah, can't get the golf cart round there.
No. But you're just sort of keeping an eye on what these golf balls are doing, how the girls are playing it.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been here a while now, so I know this, but if I didn't, so the back ledge, when it's downwind, plays firmer, and it's harder to stop it, so you get a bit of release, whereas that front tier, just seen 2 golf balls in there with wedge, stop quite quickly, so it's going to be easier to flirt around with the flag. 2-tier green, but there's no backstop as such for that flag, it's too far away from it. It'd be an interesting one to see something with a little bit longer club if you turned it. You see there's a slope as we look at the flag to the right there. So yeah, just stuff like that really. I don't just turn up at 2 o'clock and press live.
And here we go.
Yeah, but that's what's quite good about me and Richard. I come and do the course. Richard is hovering around to get a few bits from the players. I think he wanted to speak to Olivia Cowan because she's doing really well, and probably the Lindsay Weaver group, so we complement each other. He doesn't come and do all this because then both of us are doing it, it's a waste of time, so we work quite well in that respect, I feel. Right, I'm going to go back, grab a bit of lunch, and then I'll see you all for our rehearsal.
So I've just made my way over to the commentary booth here, which is just a little bit off the golf course, where Sophie and Richard, who I'm going to introduce you to in a moment, are just going to go through an idea of what they get set up, how it kind of works out, and then go through their rehearsal leading into going into live. So let's head into the booth now, catch up with Sophie and Richard, and find out how it all unfolds. So who is actually in charge?
I'm in charge of the kettle.
You're in charge of the
Yeah.
kettle?
He makes the cup of tea.
I do. While we're on air, I'll be making tea.
Really?
Try and sneak in a few biscuits or something if I can.
Yeah. But tournament to tournament, is this it?
No, it varies.
It varies?
So on say for the men's European tour, we have purpose-built trucks.
Yeah.
This is, I would say
This is as basic as it gets.
Yeah.
Because you can hear from the sound, once I use my lid mic, it'll sound a bit better on air, but it's a bit echoey in here.
Bounces.
There should be things on the wall to soften the sound, but apparently they couldn't find any egg boxes or carpet to put on the walls.
Yeah, I do rolling containers, so the edit suite, the columns, everything. So,
Yeah, so it's.
And how often do you get to go to the studio back in London? Is it in London?
Well, this is. Yeah, do you want to stay going?
Yeah, we haven't been there since so long, have we?
No, so this is a world feed. So I don't know who's sitting back in the studio in Sky. Could be James Haddock. Could be Josh. Could be. I think he did it last week. So we don't know when they're on us as such, because obviously Sky go to ad breaks. Same if the Golf Channel are taking it, they're taking ad breaks. I think 7 an hour.
Yeah.
So there'll be a point where we go to a leaderboard, and I know over leaderboard, I'll pause for 4 or 5 seconds, hopefully a bit more, give whoever's going away for a break a chance to go away for a break. But we don't know when they're back necessarily, so while they're away they might turn around shots back in London that we might have missed. You know, Georgia will make a birdie to take the lead or whatever, and they think that's important, so they'll turn it around. So we just sit here and chat the whole time for 4 hours. We don't have a...
Yeah, and then they'll just use what they need to use? Or do
yeah, they'll normally try and sit on the feed as long as they can.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for them, less production involved. But obviously, saying that, they don't want to miss something that's important if they're on an ad break. So during that ad break, they'll come out with a scene and go to those shots. Whoever's back in London will voice those. Yeah. Then they'll pause, and then by magic, you'll hear us pick up again.
And all your wording that you've got down there, which is your notes and things like that, I mean, that's obviously, I've been around with Sophie now watching and seeing what happens behind the scenes. Are you sort of taking notes all the time as to what's gone on and what you're then going to talk about?
Yes and no. So these notes here, which are hugely extensive, are kind of like a baby blanket, if you like. They're there if I need them. Yeah. But as Sophie said, for example, say Heather McRae's played well. Now, we haven't seen very much of Heather on the Ladies European Tour. But I have a bio of every single player, and Sophie mentioned her backstory, and I have that written down. And it won't always come immediately to mind if I hear a player's name that I'll immediately remember exactly their backstory or, how they played here last year. Yeah. So those are my notes, are basically based around that. And I'll turn to them sometimes. Hopefully, we're just commentating.
And you two are just literally bouncing off each other as it goes through the feed. A chat, and picking up on what you're saying, and then picking up on what Richard's saying.
So Richard's there to kind of keep the show going and kind of set it up as such, and then I'm there to give more of a player's kind of feeling to it. But because there is only two of us and there aren't as many cameras as a European tour, say, we do end up chatting a bit compared to the men's. So the men's tour, there's loads more shots in, whereas we sit on a group for quite a while, so then we can go into more conversation. So I suppose I have to know a little bit more than I normally would, and Richard definitely has to know more than he normally would for the women's game.
When I commentated at the Spanish Open a few weeks ago on the men's, I really didn't commentate. My job is to lead in terms of open the show, set up shots, maybe editorialise, so maybe just brief background on certain players when we're coming to them. But I let my two commentators, who I would have in a commentary, commentate, and then you have two on-course commentators. Whereas Sophie and I, it's it. We haven't got an on-course commentator. We do have an in-round interviewer, which helps break it up. But that only happens in these Aramco events. Other events on the Ladies European Tour, it's just the two of us warbling away for 3 or 4 hours. So so I will ask, I will commentate on golf shots. But if there's a shot that looks a little tricky, I'll ask Sophie maybe how, what sort of options they've got. Why is it so hard? She's the golfer, I'm the hacker who pretends he knows a good game, just talks it.
Okay, just stepped out of the booth just for a second whilst they get themselves prepared to go on the rehearsal now. But so fascinating and so basic in some ways as to what the commentary bot kind of looks like. But let's head back in there now and let's get them set up for the actual rehearsal. So how's this gonna sort of pan out then for the rehearsal?
Rehearsal we do at 1:30. So Richard, while I was out and about, he was writing the opener. So there's some videos that comes on, and he writes what he's going to say towards that. So he'll just basically just read it off this screen, and it'll fit nicely in. And then we'll go on about the format, just an intro of what the tournament is really. Talk about who might have played well for the early play. So we do that, and then we come on air at what time are we now? 12 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Sorry. These guys are cameramen. That's what you can hear. So they leave.
Having a party.
Hopefully we won't hear them as we go in there. Hopefully.
We've got screens. So we've got team competition on one screen. Individual competition on the other. And then what we see there. Pin positions, local rules, stroke index, and all that new handicap system, which I'm sure you're all in love with. Order of play. There's books. So.
The Ladies European Tour is once again in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. King Abdullah Economic City hosting the LET's finest, teeing it up once more at the country's premier course, Royal Greens Golf and Country Club, this time for part 4 of 4 in the Aramco Team Series. No Saudi sweep from Ellie Pedersen this time around, but the Dane starts the week as the defending champion. 3 events around Royal Greens and yet to finish outside the top 10. Watch out for Steph Kyriakou. So I briefly touched on it, Sophie, just remind us, for those that maybe didn't watch the first 3 editions of this Aramco Team Series.
There's 36 team captains. They're selected through world ranking order. They enter the draft and they get to pick one player beyond form or friendship. Then another player is picked at random. This is still a professional player. It comes out of the computer totally at random. That makes up 3 for the team, and then the amateur, which is what makes this event different. The random amateur that joins the 4, and they might have the opportunity to hold that winning putt for $150,000.
Yeah, we've come close to that. That hasn't happened as yet. Team Hall leading the way. As you'll see, Georgia Hall herself shooting around a 65 today, backed up well by Ma'a Adwi and Diksha Dagat, and not forgetting His Excellency Yasser Al-Rumian. And that's it.
Wow. That is
So hopefully it'll be something like that when we go on air.
very smooth.
So yeah, so they will send me the opener hopefully a little while before, but sometimes an hour before, and then I'll write the words around it to try and fit the pictures. Because when you're watching that, you probably couldn't hear it, but
No.
obviously there's music behind it,
Yeah.
graphics spinning in and out.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Right, you
Behind
better
the
get
scenes,
off.
I better get going because you guys are about to go on air.
Do the real thing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
No worries, nice
No
to see
pleasure.
you.
Have a great week.
Well, I have to say, on reflection and actually editing that video, how cool it was to actually get behind the scenes with Sky Sports. For me personally, getting into this industry, to see what goes on the big time, big screen stuff is very, very interesting. And to be honest with you, I've learned a lot from that personally. Also for Soph, you can see there that actually getting to know the players, understanding what goes through the brains and the minds of these players when they're out playing, I think is actually really, really important when it comes to actually commentating. I don't think anyone can just pick that up and run with that, especially in the role that she plays. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and I thank Sky Sports, I thank Soph for allowing us to get behind there and see what she gets up to on a day-to-day basis. Don't forget, if you like what you're seeing from this channel, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you all again very soon.